So today we got a question from Nathan who says he's curious about how I deal with cliques in martial arts. So he says that he's trained in several martial arts studios over the years, and he's found that in a lot of these martial arts studios, they promote this idea. When you come here, it's like your family. It's like an Olive Garden commercial from back in the day. But when you go to these gyms, you know, it's like your family, and they promote this idea of no ego and everything's great when you step on the mat, all that stuff. Well, he says that when he's trained at a lot of the gyms, in a lot of cases, it's not that way. He says he steps into the gym and people don't, it's like almost being like back in high school. He gets in there, some students don't want to spar or train with him or white belts in general, and they only want to spar with someone they know, and they just sort of exclude the new people. And so he's curious, again, how do I deal with cliques in martial arts? So brother, thank you for the question. So it can be very much like a family when you go into a martial arts gym, and I think more often than not, it is very much like a family. But think about your family for a second. There's a lot of dynamics going on in there. I personally have a lot of family that are very distant from me, that I'm not super close to. And I remember as a kid, for instance, when I would go and see some of my distant family, I remember like I didn't feel super comfortable. It wasn't like I walked in and all of a sudden I'm hanging out with everybody and everybody's talking to me and everybody's like, "Hey, Nick's here," you know, because that's my government name, Nick. And so, you know, when I would go there, a lot of times in the beginning, this was with my father's side of the family because I wasn't super close to him. When I started going to family get-togethers on that side of the family and holidays and things like that, it was very awkward for me at first because not everybody knew my name. I didn't know their names. The kids that were my age, like they didn't really know me. So it wasn't like I was the first person they were going to pick to play with the new toys that they got on Christmas, or if we were going to go for a hike or something. You know, it was one of those things where as I came around more, they got to know me better and I got to know them better. And you do the things that humans do naturally with relationships, right? As we get to know each other more, we feel comfortable. I mean, just think about this. Imagine you walked into your gym and someone came up to you as if you were the most like their closest family member relative ever, and they started divulging to you details about their life that you don't want to know about, right? You would be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, I don't need to know all that stuff. There's a natural sort of growth that happens with most relationships with human beings, right? And going back to the family stuff about the dynamics, I mean, think about your family. I mean, everybody has them, right? Everybody's got some crazy family members, right? Like maybe you are the crazy family member and you don't think so, but everybody's got like the crazy grumpy uncle, you know, and the aunt that drinks too much or something. I mean, everybody's got some crazy dynamics going on. And so you're going to have that when you go into your gym. So yeah, you might have your coach who's very inviting, and there are going to be some other students that are going to be there that are going to be super inviting as well and helpful. But then you're also going to have some of them that are going to be a little bit more standoffish because they're just more quiet and reserved than maybe what you were expecting. But it's going to be like that as a family, right? You got this big group of people and they're all a little different, and it's going to take a little time, just like me as a kid going to the family get-togethers, for them to kind of warm up to you. Now, the one thing that I would say is that you have to be careful, and this is with a lot of newcomers, you have to be careful with your interpretation as to why people are maybe being a little bit reserved towards you, because a lot of times, or not rolling with you, because a lot of times people immediately think negative things. Oh, they don't like me. What do I do? Do I stink? Something wrong with my gi? Or man, I'm not hurting anybody. Like, please roll with me. You know, like they think certain things about themselves and they think it's negative, but it may have nothing to do with you or anything. It could be something with them. So for instance, like with me as a black belt who competes sometimes, if I was getting ready for a competition and you're a brand new white belt, I'm probably not going to roll with you. It's not because I don't like you or that I don't want to roll with you someday. It's because I'm getting ready for something and I need to roll with all the higher belts or the guys that can push me the most, you know, or the students that I know can give me a really good roll or I can learn something from personally, right? So I want to roll with those people. And if the white belt came up to me, this has happened. I was like, well, not right now. After the tournament's over, you grab me, we'll have a roll in. But right now I need to focus on this stuff. You can also think about it like this. If you're like an older jiu-jitsu practitioner, someone that's dealt with, you know, a lot of injuries, which happens sometimes. If you step into the gym and all of a sudden you've got this young white belt, and by young, I don't mean young as an age, I mean an experience level. If you roll with that white belt, there's a greater chance you're going to get injured because white belts don't know, you know, all the ins and outs. And sometimes they zig when they should zag and an elbow pops you in the mouth or they tweak your knee or something. Stuff like that happens. It happens a lot. And so a lot of times the higher belts who maybe have had some injuries or maybe they're a little bit older or something like that, they look at the new white belt like, yeah, you know, I'm going to steer over here a little bit, right? And so you got to be careful to misinterpret those signals as they don't like you. They're just sort of, they have their own reasons as to why they're doing what they're doing. And some of it too, it could be that they just don't know you yet. And you can make a make it a point to go and introduce yourself, to talk to people. And also, again, give things its natural flow. Allow the flow to happen naturally, where you're around, people get to know you, and you slowly get wedged into the group, right? That's just the way that it happens. Now, that said, there are some gyms that are bad gyms, and they treat white belts in a way that I don't think is super cool. There's one time I remember I was at one gym. Now, let me say, by the way, that this is the exception, not the rule. Most gyms are pretty cool. Like, I've been to a lot of gyms over the year, and most of the time the gyms are pretty cool. The coaches are pretty cool. It's generally pretty all right. But I remember going to this one gym one time, and this white belt, he's looking over at me, and he keeps making eye contact, right? Now, I'm thinking he's probably watched one of the videos. Maybe he's a little bit nervous, this happens sometimes. It's very strange to me because I'm still the same guy that I've always been, but sometimes people project an image on me of who I am, and so they get very nervous or super excited when I meet them, which is super cool. I mean, the excited part is cool, but the nervousness is not necessary. But regardless, I noticed him notice me, and so I figured he's probably nervous, so let me go talk to him. And so I come up to him, and I say, "Hey man, how's it going?" And he like lights up and he immediately starts talking to me, right? Like no nervousness at all. He just starts, blah, 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 starts talking to me. We get a picture. It's all good. And we actually get a roll together. Afterwards, I said, "Man, why were you looking at me and not coming up and talking to me?" And I'm asking this, if in my head, I'm asking this so that I can understand the signals that people are giving off in the future, right? And he says, "Well, at our gym, we're not allowed to talk. We're not allowed, or the white belts are not allowed to address the black belts." Now, I hear this. I just think this is weird. This is so strange to me. I have never come from a traditional martial arts background, so I don't know. It may be a thing in a lot of traditional martial arts where like the lower belts or white belts can't address the black belts, that kind of thing. But for me, I come from a wrestling background. That's where I got my start. And in wrestling, there's still a pecking order. You still have mad respect for the wrestlers that are better than you. You have respect for your coaches, all that stuff. But there's much more of this group camaraderie where we're all just in there together, at least in the wrestling program that I was a part of. And so that's kind of what I wanted to have in a jiu-jitsu gym. I don't need to be this mythical being that's like levitating around the room and you address me as if like you've got a bow. That's not what a black belt is to me, and that's not what a good coach is. I'm in this with you together. Now you can show me respect, of course, because I'll do my best to earn that from you. But at the same time, I don't want you to like kowtow to me or not be afraid to talk to me. But again, that said, that is the exception. And again, I would going back to it, don't misinterpret the signals. I've had white belts and new people over the years come in and, take me to the side and ask me, is everything okay? Do I not like them or something? And again, I have to address the signals that they've seen from me that they've been misinterpreted. And I think that a lot of people jump to the negative stuff more often than not when they're newer and they're uncomfortable and they're just kind of in that awkward newness phase of their gyms. And so again, I don't know if that's the case that you've experienced, Nathan, but I've seen that more often than not. But there's a couple ideas to chew on, and hopefully that helps you, Nathan, or someone else that's in your situation. And guys, I will talk to you next time.